South Africa's economy is ready to party again. Hi there. In this week's edition of The Wrap, we're looking at how our economy and Rand bounced back way faster than expected. Meanwhile, the ANC is going to bankrupt itself if more corrupt individuals refuse to step aside. So, let's dive into your weekly simple news updates, brought to you by me, Verashni Pillay, and the rest of the Explained team. Our take, wrong move, Ace. By now, you know the ANC Secretary General, Ace Magashule, has finally been suspended and, of course, is fighting back. So naturally, he posted a photo of himself playing chess. So much symbolism, the cunning, the strategy, the technical error. That's right, the shot shows Magashule about to move a pawn that literally could not go anywhere. It was stuck in terms of the game's rules and where the other pieces were laid out. It was so ridiculous that one of the game's greatest living players, Russian chess master Garry Kasparov, made fun of Magashule on Twitter. We'd like to think that Magashule is showing things exactly as they are. The man has no moves left, and unlike his ally Jacob Zuma, he can't even play chess. After he laughably tried to counter-suspend party leader President Cyril Ramaphosa last week, he has until tomorrow to apologize. If he does not, the party will probably bring disciplinary charges against him and use that as grounds for dismissal. If they don't, they're going to need to think of another process fast. South Africa's labor laws are pretty strict, and the ANC as an employer has to abide by it. When their employees refuse to step aside, the party will have to deal with a full disciplinary process. That means paid suspension, and that's costing them over 130,000 rand a month for ACE's salary, while the party is considering retrenching half its workers and still others go unpaid. That's because senior figures have bloated the party's salary bill for years. The ANC has linked Magashule's suspension to the criminal trial that he's facing around the asbestos contract when he was Free State Premier. But that trial could last for years before a guilty sentence would allow the ANC to finally dismiss him. So they'll use his attempted Ramaphosa suspension and his other antics to get him out faster. But the party needs to think about how it's going to deal with other ANC members who refuse to step aside going forward without bankrupting themselves, a way that is in keeping with labor law and answers the public's demands for greater accountability. Moving on to the big story, South Africa's economy's rapid recovery to pre-COVID levels. Experts are impressed at how fast our economy is bouncing back. There's two developments you need to know about. South Africa recorded its highest and fastest growth level ever in April when it grew by over 25% in real terms on a year-on-year basis. This is according to an index that measures South African transactions in the entire system. It's called BETI, B-E-T-I. Now, this growth is very impressive, but we must remember that it was off a very low base, as our transactions had fallen so badly with the pandemic and lockdown. So in context, this growth is a bit like an F student suddenly becoming a C student again after taking a knock. But what makes it remarkable is how fast it happened. Betty credits those low interest rates that have you spending less on loan repayments, plus government spending money to get it flowing through the economy. This is called stimulus, and it's what other countries are doing, particularly the United States, to get their economies back on their feet after the pandemic. Another thing that you need to know about is that it now costs you 14 Rand to buy $1. This is the first time since January 2020. When the pandemic hit us, it would have cost you 19 Rand to buy $1. So this is a great recovery of the Rand to the dollar rate. A weaker Rand increases the price of importing goods, which in turn increases the price we pay for them as consumers. On the plus side, it makes exporting pretty good business. Now, the Rand, along with other emerging market currency, is also pretty volatile, which means it's quite responsive to market shifts and global events. Traders sell their Rands when things are looking bad, but thanks to some good local developments over the past week, the Rand was able to gain some steam. Ramaphosa gained political support for his decision to suspend Magashule, and rating agency Moody's decided to keep South Africa's credit rating unchanged at 2 rungs below investment grade. This all means that traders are gaining confidence in South Africa. P.S. Nomvula Mokonyane, that is how you pick up the Rand, if you remember that ridiculous statement that our former water minister once made about the Rand falling. Moving on to your briefs, the Zulu Kingdom's Game of Thrones. The news has been abuzz with drama over the new Zulu monarch. In case you missed it, the death of the long-reigning King Goodwill Zwelithini in March this year created a power vacuum. It set the stage for developments that wouldn't be out of place on a season of Game of Thrones. Queen Mantfombi Madlamini, his third and only wife of royal blood, got the coveted spot to take his place as regent, only to die 7 weeks later. Rumours of poisoning added to the drama. Then, on Friday, her will was read out on live TV, naming her eldest son as the next king. Cue even more drama, with court battles over his legitimacy as king, other royal men objecting to the reading of the Queen's will, and gun-wielding security guards whisking the new king away to safety while Zulu warriors pledged to defend their new monarch. What's with all the interest? Well, it doesn't hurt that the new king, Misizulu Kazwelatini, has a growing fan club for his dishy looks. But why you should really care is because he now becomes the sole trustee to the controversial Ingonyama Trust. As we've told you before, this trust was set up on the eve of the 1994 elections to help secure the previous king and the IFP's political participation. The party had threatened to boycott the process. The trust administers nearly a third of KwaZulu-Natal's land and is accused of being unconstitutional and treating millions of rural people, particularly women, unfairly. 2 government panels have recommended that it be dissolved. Over to you, King Misizulu. On to our next story, Hollywood drags itself into the 21st century. If being out of touch was an organization, it would be the Golden Globes, organized by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, the HFPA. We've ranted about this body before on our YouTube channel. Its all-white membership is tightly controlled, has no oversight, and many of its about 90 members are semi-retired individuals working for obscure foreign publications. There are allegations of discrimination and vote buying within its ranks. For years, major actors have grimaced their way through offensive interviews by this lot. I mean, Scarlett Johansson was once repeatedly asked if she wore underwear under her costume as Black Widow in the Marvel series. It's just ridiculous. She has called them out, and Tom Cruise has even returned 3 of his Golden Globes to the HFPA in protest over its lack of diversity. Now, major networks and studios have also piled on the pressure. Warner Brothers revealed that the HFPA wasn't exactly obliging when it came to press conferences for black performers and artists. In response to all this, the association released a half-hearted list of reforms. This was criticized for lacking in detail and its slow timeline. Now Netflix and Amazon Studios said that they will not work with the HFPA until it makes more meaningful changes. And the Golden Globes broadcasting partner, the NBC, announced this week it will not air the awards on its channel next year till there's more meaningful change. This is a huge blow for the ceremony, which gets a $60 million payment from NBC for the broadcast rights. It's kind of incredible that public pressure has managed to achieve this outcome for such an established institution. It's been running since 1944. It shows that traditional strangleholds on power are being challenged everywhere. We're slowly winning the fight for a more transparent, inclusive world. On to your COVID news. Last week, we told you that 3 travelers from India tested positive for COVID-19. Fortunately, they did not carry the variant that is spreading like wildfire in India. But over the weekend, and to our dismay, it was reported that 4 cases of the B1617 variant, which originated in India, has been detected in South Africa. There's 2 in KwaZulu-Natal and 2 cases in Gauteng. All those individuals had recently traveled to India. All cases have been isolated and managed according to COVID-19 case management protocol, and contact tracing has been done. So that's a relief. But you're probably wondering, how did this happen? Why haven't the borders been closed? Remember, we don't have direct flights to India, but people who have gone via other countries that can come to us, like the UAE, might bring in that variant. So what's the deal with this variant? Now, some background. There are loads of variants because that's how evolution works, and the virus keeps mutating. But anything that the World Health Organization labels a variant of concern is more dangerous because it spreads very rapidly. As it stands, there are currently 4 variants of concern globally. There's one from the UK, one from Brazil, or rather that was detected in those countries, one that was detected in South Africa, of course, and now this one from India. So what's the best defense against this? It's vaccines. You can only close your borders for so long, and with globalization, people just slip in. On that front, South Africa is due to begin phase 2 of our rollout on Monday. First in line are people aged 60 and older, followed by around 2.5 million essential workers, including police, teachers, and social workers. Phase 2 also extends to people over the age of 18 who suffer from comorbidities. So if you have one, you can sign up for the vaccine. A reminder, the government is hoping to get enough people vaccinated for herd immunity by February next year. That deadline has moved out. It was originally at the end of this year, but it has now been moved to February next year. And now we have a new section. It's called Adulting 101. It's where we bring you the latest news you need to know as an adult. Not the triple X kind of news, but rather admin-related news that affects your life and your pocket. This week we're talking about vaccine registration and bank fees. If you're over 60 and haven't yet registered for your vaccine, you can do so via the government's electronic vaccination data system, which you can find online. Just search EVDS, which stands for Electronic Vaccination Data System, or via WhatsApp. You can just send the word register to 0600 123 456. Very easy. Or you can send an SMS by dialing *134 *832 *. So they've made it really accessible. And you just need your ID number to complete your registration. In banking news, if you've ever tried to do a real-time clearing payment when you do an electronic payment, you'll notice that it might be convenient and the other person gets their payment immediately, but you're probably getting charged quite a lot extra. And this depends wildly on which bank you bank with. A close look at bank charges recently has found a significant difference in the fees that banks charge to process real-time clearing payments. They vary from 10 Rand to as much as 50 Rand. Now, banks have justified this, saying that immediate payments increase the risk of fraud and fees are charged for risk monitoring plus the technology that is used to enable them. But here is a list of what each bank charges so that you know how much you're paying. If you're with Capitac, you're lucky. You're only paying 7.40 Rand as a flat rate for all of these transactions. If you're with ABSA, it's 10 Rand for anything under 1,000 Rand and 49 Rand for anything over 1,000 Rand. So they're the most expensive. Nedbank is slightly more expensive. They're 10 Rand for anything under 2,000 Rand and 49 Rand thereafter. And Standard Bank is the cheapest of those three, with 10 Rand for anything under 3,000 Rand and then 50 Rand thereafter. FNB is 45 Rand for everything except PAYU, which is 8 Rand. Now, it is an issue. Banks are ripping us off, and the Financial Sector Conduct Authority is looking into the matter. On to some entertainment news. You've probably heard about AKA and his girlfriend who fell to her death. We have told you about the story before. Now, AKA, whose real name is Conan Forbes, has come under public scrutiny after leaks and counter-leaks emerged following his fiance's dramatic death. To remind you, Anela Tembe fell to her death from the 10th floor of the Pepper Club Hotel in Cape Town on the 11th of April last month. It has not been confirmed if her death was suicide or homicide, but as you can imagine, social media has been aflame with speculation. Now, videos leaked by a concerned friend of Tembe shows AKA breaking through a door with his hands to get into a room that she had allegedly locked herself in. Another video shows Tembe in a ransacked room holding her head and rocking on the floor, with Forbes believed to be recording the video while he narrates the situation, saying he wants evidence in case things ever go to court. Yet another video also shows Tembe hysterically trying to get away from an unknown man who is trying to calm her down while she screams, "Look what he's doing. You guys don't know what he's been doing to me." Forbes came out in defense of the videos. He said that he and Tembe shared a beautiful relationship that was at times challenging. He said he knows who leaked the footage and claims the intention is to influence the ongoing investigations into Tembe's death. We're not making any calls on this as so much is unclear, and there's a lot of allegations about gender-based violence, but you're going to hear plenty of gossip, so we thought we'd just lay out the facts for you for now. On to some international news. There has been some really troubling developments in Palestine. Israeli airstrikes against protesting Palestinians, which began late last week, have killed 69 Palestinians, including 17 children in Gaza. And now Gaza is their own territory. It's Palestinian territory. And this has sparked a new uproar over the ongoing conflict in the region. 6 Israelis have also been killed. Now, the background is that protests began last week Thursday over an impending court order for the eviction of several Palestinian families from their homes in East Jerusalem. This court order opens old wounds at a sensitive time. This week, both sides are remembering the complicated history that led to the founding of the Israeli nation. The violence then rapidly escalated as protests moved to a mosque in Jerusalem. Israeli forces fired rubber bullets and stun grenades at worshippers, and Palestinian resistance group Hamas in turn fired rockets into Israel on Monday, while Israel then launched airstrikes into Gaza on the same day. So, tit for tat and lots of people being killed. The conflict, the larger conflict between Palestine and Israel, has been raging since 1948 when the State of Israel was first declared. The background is super complex and more than we can go into right now. But what you do need to know is that last month saw a landmark report released by Human Rights Watch. It found that Israel is committing crimes of apartheid and persecution against Palestinians. Israel denounced the report and said that the organization, the Human Rights Watch, has a long-standing anti-Israel agenda. But The Guardian is reporting that the ICC, the International Criminal Court, is also investigating Israel for war crimes. So it seems like the tide is slowly turning. Now, the Palestinian struggle has long been paralleled with apartheid in South Africa. Our President Ramaphosa earlier this week affirmed the governing ANC's ongoing support for the people of Palestine and, as he put it, their struggle for freedom and self-determination. And he condemned both the proposed evictions of the families from East Jerusalem and the, what he called, brutal attacks on the Palestinian protesters at the mosque. Scores of South Africans marched in support of Palestine in Joburg and Cape Town, calling on the government to impose sanctions on Israel. And lastly, the world's biggest jewelry maker, Pandora, has decided to ditch mining diamonds for lab-manufactured diamonds in an attempt to end the unethical production and human rights abuses at mines and factories that are often associated with mining for diamonds. Think blood diamonds. Pandora plans to release its first collection of lab-made stones in the UK and will shift to other markets in 2022. It's also an attempt to become more sustainable. The lab-made diamonds are grown from carbon with more than 60% renewable energy, a ratio that is set to rise to 100% next year. By 2025, its entire production will use only recycled precious metals, Bloomberg reported. Fancy that. Well, that's it from us at The Wrap, a product of Explain.coza. Simple news summaries for busy people. Remember to share the love. Tell your friends to sign up for the updates at Explain.coza/subscribe. Till next time, goodbye from the team.